Hello, this is Malorian, this is the Orc Tactical Team, and what we're going to be talking about today kind of relates to our last video. Now in our last video is all talking about dragons and classifying them and ranking them, how they're going to be, and one of the things I on purpose left out was zombie dragons. And there's a very big reason for this, and that's that they are pretty much a very separate from the other dragons. I mean, yes, they still have the strength 6 and a toughness 6 and all this stuff, but they're fairly different in the way that they operate, in that they're very polar in the fact that the risk to the reward. Now, what I'm really talking about here is when you look at the zombie dragon, it's a little bit worse. You know, it has only a 5+ armor save. It's going to be crumbling, so it's not like you can just lose in combat and hold or throw on the stubborn crown or something like this. You're going to be crumbling if you ever start losing combat. And at the same time, though, it has some other parts to it, right? Where it's -1 to be hit in combat. So that's pretty cool. Its breath weapon, though, to kind of combat that as well. It's kind of the bad one, just like the Wood Elf one, where it's only the strength 2. So that's fairly weak. But what it really comes together is when you add on this Vampire Lord. And that's because you can really start playing 2 different games with this thing. One, you can start playing the whole leadership game and you can't hit me. So what you're going to be doing is using the various items so that they have to re-roll fear tests, or you can make him so he has Doom and Darkness, so that you'll be reducing the leadership even more. And what that means, if they're weapon skill 1 and wanting to hit you, well, all of a sudden they're going to be needing 6s to hit. And that's huge. And that means that you're going to be taking almost no damage. So when we're looking for a dragon that's very defensive, well, there's your defensive right there. If all of your guys that you're fighting are pretty much hitting you on 6s, well, there, you're set. Unless, of course, you're going to come up against immunopsychology or something like that. At the same time, you're also in a faction that can very easily heal this dragon up. It's not like another one where you might have to hope that you're working some lore of life through a wizard hat or something crazy like this. You know from the lore of vampires, you can be healing this guy up. And every single time that you go and cast a spell, you can plunk out a wound on this. So again, defensively, very amazing. Damage output. You know, it's okay for the dragon, but the vampire on top with something like the Red Fury and all this stuff can be amazing as well. You can be doing so many wounds with this guy. So he's very defensive, very offensive. He has the goods to keep himself healing up, but at the same time then, we have to start talking about the liability. Now, I guess another thing we should talk about before we go into this then is how it works within the actual army book. Now, what vampire counts are is they're an army where their core sucks. Usually if you're looking for a strong army that's going to do well in a tournament, you want to have very strong troops that you can just go and hoard up and go get them. Well, unfortunately for vampire counts, what that means is you're kind of limited to things like skeletons and ghouls and zombies, where really they're not going to be doing anything for you. They're just going to be losing combats. It's not even for something like Night Goblins, where you can take a whole bunch of Night Goblins paired up with a monster. One's going to take away Steadfast, the other one's going to grind them down. What can happen is that if you throw in these crappy troops with something good, well, they can kill tons of troops and then crumble down both units. So you really have to be trying to find a way in a faction, something that's very offensive and can be killing things, whether it be Graveguard or Crypt Horrors or maybe even a Vorgeist or a zombie dragon. So again, you know, this could work out very well. However, with this liability, characters are very important to the vampire counts. They need this magic to keep them going and they're raising them back up. They need to be around the general so that they can keep on marching. And the big thing here is if you're not running 2 vampire lords, well, that means that your lord is going to be here on this dragon. It also means that if you want to be doing this whole healing thing, if you have a series of necromancers which are just going to be casting spells to do raising and healing up the dragon, he has to be staying back and with the troops. He's not like the Warriors of Chaos Dragon that can just zip out and just start killing whatever he wants. You have to be staying back and supporting so that you can actually have an army that can be marching and moving up. And as well, if you're getting shot, because all those bonuses are only going to save you in combat. While you're out of combat, you're very susceptible to all these other cannon shots and any other sort of range that might be coming after you. So you really got to try and get into combat as fast as you can, and at the same time, you have to stay back with the troops. Which almost really makes you try to run an army that even runs differently. Something that maybe for your killing power, you're going to be taking lots of knights, lots of black knights or blood knights, whatever way it is, or fast units like your elites. The little bat things are like the crypt horrors, but they're the crappy ones, are just fast, but you don't heal them up fast. But anyway, it's all about speed, because you need to be keeping them all together to get to the enemy. And this is why I really thought that they are very different from all the other dragons. A lot of the other dragons, they can act independently. You know, they want to work with a unit so that the one takes away the steadfast and the other one zips in. But this one is just such a different breed, where seems to be so great because it's so defensive and offensive, where you only hit me on 6s and I'm just going to heal myself anyway. But if this thing goes down, you are screwed. And so really, that's why I was saying that if you're making a list, it has to be designed for this. You have to know that if this model ever goes down, you've lost. You know, things are just going to go to hell. Sure, you might have another vampire in there so that your whole army isn't crumbling, but even then, if this goes down, everything is shutting down from this point. So there you have it. That's the zombie dragon. If you are going to go that way, it can give you the combat power you need. It can be a very strong point denial, but if you take an unlucky cannon, just shake hands, you've lost the game. So there you have it. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you again another time. Bye.